in our Bronzeville community, and I want to begin by acknowledging the leadership in the room, including our mayor, Lori E. Lightfoot, and our governor, J.B. Pritzker. I also want to acknowledge our elected officials, our city leaders, our labor leaders, our advocates, and community leaders who strive every day to move us toward a more just and equitable climate future for the city of Chicago. And of course, I would like to thank our gracious host, President and CEO of Chicago Urban League, Karen Freeman Wilson, who has opened up her doors to us today. In 2021, on Earth Day, I joined the mayor to announce the Green Recovery Agenda, to outline a suite of strategies aimed at mitigating climate change, reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, and building economic prosperity for all Chicagoans. In 2022, also on Earth Day, we released the Climate Action Plan, a major milestone in the Green Recovery Agenda and a strategic roadmap to identify renewed goals and actions to drastically reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by an interim goal of 62% by 2040, while driving equitable co-benefits that our communities need now more than ever. I'm excited to join the mayor and the governor once again to celebrate another major milestone in the Green Recovery Agenda. This is an exciting moment in our city's history, especially as we have alignment from all levels of government, city, state, and following yesterday's historic vote in the Senate, soon federal, to invest in climate infrastructure, to invest in the health and resiliency of our communities, and to accelerate a just transition to a green economy. With that said, I will turn it over to Karen, who is not only an incredible leader who is training the green jobs workforce of the future, she is leading by investing in renewable energy generation right here in this facility, making it the largest solar installation in Chicago. Please give a warm welcome to Karen Freeman Wilson.
Good afternoon. I saw the video, and you know, the mayor and governor and I had agreed to go up on the roof, but the risk managers in the room were objecting to that, so here we are with a video. But it is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome Mayor Lightfoot, Governor Pritzker, all of the elected officials, all of our friends in the public and private sector to the Chicago Urban League. On behalf of our board of directors, chaired by Suzette McKinney, and our entire team, we are honored to have you here to talk about something that is near and dear to our hearts. I also want to thank Governor Pritzker and Mayor Lightfoot for your leadership in the sustainability space. You know, as we looked to come back from a global pandemic and think about our built environment in a different way, we were also doing some remodeling at the Chicago Urban League. And in talking to our team, we thought that as we looked at what we might do differently and how we might lead by example, and as we listened to our colleague Andrew Wells, who had been talking about environmental sustainability long before I got here, we saw this opportunity. We did not only see it from the perspective of installing solar panels on the building, on the rooftop, and in our parking lot, but we also saw the installation of solar panels, of electric charging stations as the wave of the future. And let's be real, this area, environmental sustainability, has largely been a space occupied by white people. And but we wanted to be different, but we didn't want to talk differently. We wanted to demonstrate that difference. And so we are happy to welcome you all here today. We are also excited that our leaders are here to talk about something that has typically not been talked about in our neighborhood, because we also know that under the heading of environmental sustainability is environmental justice. Mm-hmm. And for over 106 years, the Urban League has been leading in justice for Black people. Welcome, and with that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce someone who has been leading our city with equity and justice, Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Thank you, Karen. Wow, I hadn't seen the entire room when I walked in, so welcome, everyone. First, let me just say thank you to Karen. Thank you not only for your leadership, but also thank you for your personal friendship and counsel and partnership in making sure that we continue to make good on our commitment to equity and inclusion. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for being here. We're here to announce an important and exciting step forward in our citywide fight against climate change. And I'm so honored that our governor has joined us for this announcement. My friend and great advocate for Chicago and Springfield, Illinois House Assistant House Majority Leader Marcus Evans, Alderman George Cardenas, the chair of the City Council Committee on Environmental Protection and Energy, Constellation Executive Vice President Kathleen Barone, and Senior Vice President Dan Verbanek, Swift Current Energy President Matt Birchby. And also, I want to acknowledge the city team that was so instrumental in putting this together, led by AIS Acting Commissioner Sandra Blakemore. And I also want to acknowledge Alderman Scott Wagesback, Alderman Daniel Espada, two people who really occupy, I think, an important space in making sure that we're doing the right thing for the environment. And of course, I also want to acknowledge and recognize State Representative Will Davis, who joins us here today. There's a reason why you have so many government and civic leaders here for this announcement. Making sure that we do the right thing to address climate change, which is real and is happening. And we can see demonstrations of it not only here in Chicago, but across the country. We all have to be all in to make this a priority for us and for our residents. Today marks an historic moment in our city's obligation to combat climate change with concrete, tangible steps towards a renewable future. To get there requires all of us to set and implement bold, equitable climate goals, all necessary at all levels of government, but especially at the city level. And I'll say it, while the state and the city were doing our part, we welcome our partners in the federal government to this fight for climate change. And as mayor of one of America's most large and diverse cities, I know how important it is for us to address climate concerns of our residents and create more resilient, healthy, safe, and equitable communities. Chicago in particular has been a global leader in a climate crisis really going back to 2008, having become the first major U.S. city to develop a comprehensive climate action plan. And more than a decade later, my administration has continued to build upon this reputation. By having made an investment of $188 million sanctioned by the City Council, investments in our Chicago Recovery Plan and climate and environmental justice initiatives. Things like making sure that we address climate mitigation, adaptation, and environmental priorities. And on top of this, we recently, as you heard from Angela, released the 2022 Climate Action Plan on Earth Day this year. This strategic document outlines updated goals and specific actions that city departments and sister agencies will undertake in coordination with community partners, institutions, civic leaders, and residents. Because it can't just be about the government. Although we have an important role to play, each of us needs to step up and do our part. We must work as hard as we possibly can to mitigate the disaster effects of climate change, which we see manifest almost every single day across the country and across our world. We also need to bring the benefits of a thriving green economy to all of our 77 communities. The 2022 Climate Action Plan deepens our city's longstanding commitment to climate action and sets a goal of reducing emissions in Chicago by 62% by 2040. To maintain our momentum toward a just and equitable climate future, there must be measured and consistent support towards our ambitious goals over time. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to celebrate a major step forward in making these goals a reality. I am proud to announce that the City of Chicago has signed an agreement with retail electricity supplier Constellation in collaboration with Swift Current Energy to purchase renewable energy for all city facilities and operations by 2025. And let me give... And let me give you some of the details. This new agreement, which includes supplying Chicago with about 300 megawatts of new Illinois solar power, enough to power, for example, our largest consumers of electricity, institutions like O'Hare, Midway, and our water pumping stations. It allows us to achieve our citywide goal of transitioning all city operations to 100% renewable by 2025. And the remainder of city energy use, the city has purchased renewable energy credits and will also invest in transformative, locally generated energy projects over time. This includes opportunities, for example, like the Library Power Project, which will provide 10 primarily south and west side libraries with energy-saving upgrades and rooftop solar panels starting as soon as this year. The 2022 Climate Action Plan was developed here in Chicago with elected officials, including many of those who are here with us today, advocates across the state massively and create and pass CEJA, the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. And we have to thank the governor for his leadership on this issue. We have to thank our members of the General Assembly, because this has opened up opportunities for us that otherwise would never have existed. So, Governor, on behalf of the residents of the city, thank you so very much for that. And folks, you should know that CEJA has now become internationally lauded piece of legislation because its explicit attention towards economic equity and climate justice. Using this as a guide, we expect that the new solar farm powering our biggest energy uses will be built in alignment with CEJA's equity and labor expectations for large renewable developments. And that means that at least 10% of the labor force will be equitably eligible. Prevailing wage will be paid, and a project labor agreement with our labor unions will be put in place, thus making this major project a leader in activating the provisions outlined in CEJA. And you can clap for that, too. And our commitment to make sure that these requirements are manifest will be shown in the monthly meetings with our contractor and the project developer and our team to make sure that these labor requirements are in fact met, and identify further opportunities for Chicago's labor force and reinvestments that reduce our energy load. As our Chief Equity Officer, Candace Moore, likes to say, equity is a muscle. And what that means is without proper attention and training and building this muscle, we cannot expect to produce lasting equitable change in our systems. That is why, in addition to the aforementioned labor commitment, we required that community benefits be weighted equally with pricing in the scoring of RFP responses. That means that all applicants were required to outline a detailed commitment to delivering local benefits back to Chicago's communities. This renewables project is one of the first of its kind to have these kinds of requirements in it, and will allow us to operationalize equity from the start to finish. Constellation, in collaboration with Swift Current Energy, have made financial commitments under the agreement to help funding job training, apprenticeships, educational, and other programs in Chicago that focus on development of a diverse, clean energy, and sustainably focused workforce. So imagine, folks, internships, apprenticeships, down on site that provide opportunities for our residents to get into the green economy and learn this business from the inside out. That's the vision that I see, and I'm happy to partner with Constellation and Swift Current to make sure that that becomes a reality for our residents. That is how we leverage our buying power to change the energy market for the better, as well as ensure that our residents are able to take part in the green economy that we are building here in the city of Chicago. I'm also thrilled that this announcement comes on the cusp of the enactment of the Inflation Reduction Act, which passed the Senate yesterday. I'm told will be passed by the House later and on the President's desk within 2 weeks. I'd like to congratulate President Biden and Senate Democrats, and particularly Vice President Harris, for casting the deciding vote. This bill takes a historic step in protecting our climate, and it shows a vote of confidence in renewables. There's lots of different elements of this, but it's timely that we're here today when this passage happened just yesterday. Chicago is truly leading the way, and now with robust backing from all levels of government. I want to thank each and every one of the staff members, advocates, partners, elected officials, and other stakeholders who made today's announcement possible, and remain committed to ensuring Chicago's equitable climate leadership continues to produce equitable outcomes for our residents. In order to fully address and overcome the threats that climate change poses to our city, and really our region and our state and our world, we have to be all in this together. We have to make sure that we collaborate and that we're not afraid to go where we know we need to go, even if it's difficult, even if it may seem politically infeasible. What we need is to develop is bold and ambitious ideas. And with no further ado, I want to bring our governor to the podium, who has led us in bold and ambitious ideas, particularly through his leadership on the seizure bill. Governor. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that very kind introduction, and I do want to congratulate the Congress and the President, of course, for the work that's been done to pass the Inflation Reduction Act. It really will make an enormous difference, especially on the topic that we're here to discuss today. I want to bid good afternoon to everyone here. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I want to express my gratitude to Karen Freeman Wilson and, of course, to the Chicago Urban League for hosting us today and being a leader on this topic. And of course, I want to thank Mayor Lori Lightfoot for the kind introduction, but also especially for your continuing commitment to clean energy and to fighting for climate justice and fighting against climate change. This is an enormously positive development that we're here about today for the residents of Chicago and for the state of Illinois. And I really am thrilled to be here with local and state leaders, some of whom were engaged in the very beginnings of the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. Such a terrific development for us in the state. And I also want to say that our city's new power supply contract is one that is a model for other cities, and particularly for other cities across the state of Illinois. You're really making clean energy the standard for buildings and for residents throughout our city. In the next few months, we will begin construction on the largest utility-scale solar generation facility in Illinois' history, creating nearly 1,000 new jobs. And by 2025, hundreds of thousands of Chicagoans will get their energy needs met by an entirely renewable energy source. It's momentous, and it's happening because of the foresight of the mayor and because Illinois is a leader in the clean energy revolution. In this state, we take seriously the looming threats of the climate crisis. And we aren't sitting around and waiting to see what happens. We're taking tangible, preventative action to fight climate change by creating a more sustainable and environmentally conscious future for all Illinoisans. It's why last year, when I signed the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, it was a long-term transformative plan to transition to clean energy production while preparing our workforce and communities for the jobs that it's creating. Illinois became the first state in the Midwest to commit to 100% clean energy by 2050, and that's an ambitious goal, and we have another one, and that's to put 1 million electric vehicles on the road by 2030. And we're building our own Illinois-based EV industry by incentivizing EV producers and charging station manufacturers and parts suppliers to build new facilities and jobs in our state. But our commitment to clean energy and fighting climate change doesn't stop there. In 2019, we joined the U.S. Climate Alliance and implemented policies that advance the goals of the Paris Agreement. And our Illinois Department of Natural Resources is moving forward with a $73 million project to protect our shoreline against wave erosion, safeguarding our communities, our abundant fresh water, and its aquatic inhabitants. Throughout it all, our people are what we put at the heart of our efforts to fight climate change. Our Climate and Equitable Jobs Act has the strongest ever ethics requirements, rooting out the corruption of the past. And we've required all utility-scale wind and solar projects to give workers the protection and compensation they deserve with a project labor agreement. Today's 100% renewable energy project that we're talking about is rooted in values of equity and diversity. We created the Clean Jobs Workforce Program to ensure members of underrepresented communities have the training, the resources, and the support to enter the clean energy sector. Funding is being dispersed to Chicago-based clean energy diverse workforce programs. In addition, Chicago organizations will receive community climate infrastructure grants so that all of our neighborhoods have access to the next generation of energy sourcing. Again, I want to thank Mayor Lori Lightfoot, our Chief Sustainability Officer here in the city, Tovar, Karen Freeman-Wilson, Representatives Marcus Evans and Will Davis, Alderman George Cardenas, and Sangamon County Board Chair Andy Van Meter. I want to thank you for being here today, Andy. Where are you, by the way? I haven't seen your... He's not here, wasn't able to make. Okay, well, he was on his way here anyway. And it's because it's in his county that much of this energy will be produced. And he really is very proud of the developments that are happening there. So to Kathleen Barone and the Constellation New Energy team, as well as Matt Birchby and the rest of the Swift Current Energy team, thank you for your partnership in this endeavor. Here's to a cleaner and more sustainable Illinois. And with that, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Kathleen Barone from Constellation Energy.
Thank you, Governor Pritzker, and thank you for your leadership on clean energy and in the fight against the climate crisis. Congratulations to Mayor Lightfoot for launching this procurement and bringing this project to life for Illinois and for all the people of Chicago. As the largest producer of clean energy in the United States, Constellation is proud to partner with the mayor and the city on this landmark agreement, which will enable the city to take a giant step forward in achieving the sustainability goals you heard about this morning. Now, this project is a real-life example of what happens when elected officials use market signals to set the bar high. Now, in this procurement, the mayor said, we want clean energy, we want it to be affordable, and we want it to create jobs and opportunities for all of our people. And at Constellation, we were happy to use our experience making and selling clean energy to bring the city a proposal that does just that. And we're proud that the project will not only make a lasting impact in the fight against climate change, but do so in a way that ensures people in underserved communities will benefit from the transition to a carbon-free economy. That's because under this agreement, Constellation will provide $500,000 to fund sustainability job training programs that will build a diverse workforce that will meet the equity vision of CEJA. So, as you've heard, today is a day of celebration. A lot of folks talk about achieving emission reduction goals, but the mayor, her team, the city council, they don't just talk, they did the work. And the result is the largest solar installation in Illinois, a historic community benefits agreement, new capacity on the grid, which we need, and a lot less pollution in the air. When we launched our new company in February, Constellation set an internal goal to generate all of our electricity from carbon-free sources by 2040. And that's important. But what's more important is the work we can do with our customers, including the city of Chicago, to help them reach their sustainability goals. So Mayor Lightfoot, thank you for the opportunity to partner with you and for all the hard work of your team getting to today. And with that, I'd like to invite Matt Birchby, the president of Swift Current Energy, to the podium.
Well, thank you very much, Kathleen. Appreciate that introduction. And thank you, Mayor and Governor, for attending today. We're very excited to be here. I'm Matt Birchby, president and co-founder of Swift Current Energy, the owner and long-term developer, feels long-term at this point, of Double Black Diamond, the largest solar project planned in Illinois. At Swift Current Energy, we have a deep connection to the state of Illinois. We've developed 3 wind farms to date that are now operating, generating clean energy throughout the state. And we're very excited to be moving forward here with Double Black Diamond at 593 megawatts, the largest solar project to be built in Illinois. A project like this couldn't happen without partners. It's been the partnership of the City of Chicago, Constellation, as well as our host communities, Morgan and Sangamon counties, that allowed us to get here to this date and will allow each party to be successful as we move forward. I want to thank everyone for being here today, and we look forward to seeing you all this fall at our ribbon cutting at Double Black Diamond.
I'm Marcus Evans, Assistant Majority Leader in the House, and I had the pleasure to chief sponsor this piece of legislation, this aggressive legislation, this historic legislation, this legislation that was birthed by so many of you all in here. I see Jim Wallen in the back. Of course, I'm going to shout out my good friend who I sat in rooms with for many, many hours, Deputy Governor Christian Mitchell, Speaker Welsh, of course, who took the ideas of Governor Pritzker, these very, very crazy ideas. And we're going to do all of this stuff, equity, we're going to do clean energy, and we're going to put in a package, and we did that, and it was passed by the House, again, under the leadership of Emmanuel Chris Welsh, Senate President Don Harmer, my legislative leaders and colleagues. We passed this legislation. We sent it all throughout our towns and cities across the state of Illinois, and we said, we have something good, do something with this. And me being a resident of the city of Chicago, South Side, 8th Ward community, Avalon Park, the question is, what will the leadership of the city of Chicago do with this great thing that we did that was birthed from Governor Pritzker, that was pushed through the General Assembly? What are you going to do with it? And to be here in the Urban League as a black young man on the South Side of Chicago, and to see that our mayor, Mayor Lightfoot, is going to take this package that we sent, these great ideas, and she's going to execute, and she's going to ensure that my community can feel this. We're going to smell the clean air, but we're going to enjoy the economic opportunity, the jobs. We're going to feel it, and she's going to execute, because that's what great leaders do. They don't just talk, they execute. These 2 individuals are executors, and they're making it happen. So I'm so proud being a young black man, and thank you, Karen, for all your work here at the Urban League. I walk down these streets as a young man when my family lived in the housing projects, and I know what this place means and what's going to happen. So again, just such a joy and such a pleasure to play a role. I played a small role, but it was a critical role. I had a great time. Thank you to all the advocates. You all the few, but Governor Pritzker, your work was phenomenal on this, and we're going to feel the energy. So next up, I'm going to bring up one of the folks who's going to work with the mayor to execute this. Again, she has a great city council. They're going to work with her to execute this thing for us, for the residents of the city of Chicago. Alderman George Cardenas, come on up, 12th Ward. for your work.
I'm just here to say thanks to obviously our top leaders here in the state, Governor Pritzker with his leadership on passing CGen creation, working with obviously Constellation Energy. Mayor, you've been working on environmental policy since you got here. People don't see the benefits, they don't see the return on all that energy, but she's been making it happen, not just today, not just on this new grid, on this new policy and procurement and how to get new diversification of energy to our city. Procuring energy is not something that people understand immediately. I also want to give thanks to my colleagues in the City Council, Alderman Wagaspak for being here, Alderman Laspada, who is a champion, obviously, of renewables, a champion of environmental policy. I am so wooed by this efforts today, Governor. We had our doubts in the state when things were wobbling, just because things were tough. But you did the right thing. The mayor is now going to execute, and the city's going to benefit from all the efforts. Minority communities should benefit tremendously from this. The Urban League's going to make sure that happens. The job creation from this legislation and this initiative should benefit the most vulnerable communities in this city and this state. And that's what I'm most proud of today, being here in front of you. As a minority, as a Mexican-American, representing the southwest part of Chicago, knowing that the system works, that our future is bright, it makes me happy. It makes me happy to work with the leaders from the state that made it happen and brought it home today. Thank you.
Okay, let's give one more round of applause to our governor, to our mayor, to our leaders. If the project team can quickly wave, thank you very much for all of your efforts. This concludes our speaking agenda here, and I'd like to invite Mayor Lightfoot, Governor Pritzker, I'd like to invite up Swift Current Energy, Kathleen Barone from Constellation, as well as Acting Commissioner Sandra Blakemore for Q&A.
Thanks, Angela.
I'm more important.
All right. Hey, Jeremy, give me a second. And we're going to kick it off with 2 questions per reporter. Ash and I will bring down the mic, and then any on-topic questions. All right, let's kick it off with Tamon Bradley. Go ahead, Tamon.
2 questions for Governor Pritzker. Eli Lilly says it's concerned Indiana's new abortion law will hinder its ability to attract new talent. How will you go about trying to get business from Eli Lilly and other companies that may be worried about the new abortion ban in Indiana?
Well, already I've reached out to companies that are affected in Indiana. I want to make sure that they know that they're welcome in Illinois. Any expansion that they may be looking to do, that we welcome their employees. We treat workers here well, and very importantly, we protect their individual rights and their families' rights. And so we encourage those companies to consider expansion of job opportunities right here in this state. We're an island, an oasis in the Midwest, and so the states around us and states even further that live with governments that are trying to take away people's rights should know that Illinois and Chicago are welcoming.
This morning, Darren Bailey linked you, Mayor Lightfoot, and Kim Fox, calling you the 3 musketeers of crime. Springfield has boosted funding for law enforcement training and equipment. When you ran 4 years ago, the Illinois FOP endorsed you. This time, Bailey says they're going to back him. What happened? What do you think you lost the support of the Illinois FOP?
Well, all I can say is that Darren Bailey isn't good for police officers. Darren Bailey voted against the expansion of the Illinois State Police. I proposed that. We got hundreds of new police officers on the street, our troopers. We added forensic scientists and new crime labs. My opponent, Darren Bailey, voted against that. He also voted against saving police pensions. billions of dollars by voting against police pension consolidation. And that's something that I proposed and got passed. So Darren Bailey is terrible for police and for public safety and doesn't deserve the support of police officers on the street.
Sam Charles.
Governor Pritzker, in the last 10 years, more than 24 bills have been introduced in the state legislature to ban assault weapons, yet none have passed and many have died in committee. What is to explain the failure of state leaders to pass an assault weapons ban in Illinois?
It's a great question. There is still the powerful Illinois State Rifle Association, which is a subset of the National Rifle Association that's had a lot of influence over many years. I believe we are in a position to overcome that obstacle and to get an assault weapons ban in our state. I certainly am pushing for it. I think we should have one on the federal level. I think we saw in Highland Park where there were just terrible tragedies that occurred on July 4th, that even when you have an assault weapons ban in one city, it doesn't keep people from bringing those assault weapons from other cities. And high-capacity magazines were also banned in Highland Park, and yet those were brought in from yet another city. So we need to pass it for the state, but we really need a national ban.
Jeremy, tribute.
Hey, Governor, just two quick things. Do you have any reaction to the news about the federal investigation involving State Senator L.G. Sims, and whether going into this election for you, this builds on a perception of Illinois politicians being corrupt?
Well, as you know, I am committed to durable ethics reform, and in fact, the federal court affirmed that on Friday when they ruled on the Shackman decree for the state of Illinois. On this matter, I encourage authorities to act quickly and thoroughly and to hold anyone accountable who should be held accountable.
Okay. And forgive me if you've already addressed this with Taman's question, but with the Indiana abortion ban, I know you've spoken about this before in terms of Illinois being, a welcoming spot for, anyone from
protecting women's rights.
Protecting women's rights, yeah. Mm-hmm. What kind of impact do you think this is going to have volume-wise for women coming over the border from Indiana into Illinois?
I think everybody expected Indiana to do what they're doing. Every state around us, unfortunately, has now banned or significantly, severely limited women's reproductive rights. And so we're doing as much as we can at the moment to help our existing clinics provide the necessary procedures, but there's more that needs to be done. And of course, the House of Representatives is having working groups looking at all the ways in which we can expand capacity. Importantly, as you, I think, all learned during the worst parts of the COVID-19 pandemic, the term capacity doesn't just mean space. It means healthcare professionals. And so we want to make sure that Illinois allows, for example, advanced practice nurses to perform procedures, and also that we have the proper medical, pharmaceutical abortion that can be provided for people who might otherwise come into our state, but that might be able to get it through the mail in their home states.
Thanks, Governor. Mary Ann Ahern.
Mayor, I wondered if you might want to weigh in as well on Eli Lilly and other Indiana businesses.
Sure. As you probably recall, really starting earlier this year, as we started to see kind of a wave of, I would say, anti-democratic legislation being passed, in particular by southern states, we reached out to Fortune 100 companies and invited them to take a look at Chicago in particular, because we know that many of these companies have very broad anti-discrimination inclusion policies that don't match up with their location in states like Texas, Florida, and other southern states. Regarding Eli Lilly, we, like the governor, have reached out, extended our hand. I hope that we're going to be in deep conversation with them and other Indiana-based companies. Look, the bottom line is this. Chicago will always be a city that stands for justice for all. Chicago's always going to be a city that respects women and their decisions, and making sure that we and they all have access to reproductive health care because it makes sense, it is the right thing to do. I think as these companies start to weigh their interest, and in particular, if they truly value their employees, it's not enough to say, we'll pay for you to travel someplace else. Because what we are seeing is a race to the bottom by these governors who think that pandering to the basis elements of their party is a way to make themselves popular, the way to get campaign donations, the way to burnish their credentials for a 2024 election fight. But they're doing it at the expense of women, of people of color, of people from the LGBTQ plus community. When we see that they're going after trans children, there's no depth to which these folks will not sink. And I think that what we're hearing, and certainly what we're seeing, is employees at these companies saying, count me out. I do not want to work, I do not want to live in a state that doesn't value me and doesn't value my rights. So I think there's tremendous opportunity for the state of Illinois and importantly for the city of Chicago for us to reach out and to continue that outreach to businesses to say, here in this city and this state, you are welcome, your employees are welcome, and we respect your rights.
And now a political question that might be a little touchy, but we have Alderman Sophia King, who is looking like she wants to run, may announce later this week, and perhaps Chuy Garcia, and maybe the governor would like to weigh in since there are reports that the governor is interested in supporting him. What are you thinking about all of that?
Not much. What do the residents of this city want me to do? They want me to do my job. They want me to focus on public safety. They want me to make sure that we are continuing to deliver on an equitable and inclusive recovery from the pandemic. That's what I'm focused on every day. The noise over here, over there, you know, it's the silly season, as I've been saying now for many, many months. Lots of folks are going to make noises. They like to see their names in print. But what I'm doing every day is doing the job that the voters elected me to do, and that I feel confident if I continue to execute, I'm going to get 4 more years to continue the work.
Thanks, Mayor. Craig Walton.
Sorry, if I may add just to that answer, first of all, that rumor that you keep repeating about Chuy Garcia, absolutely untrue. Absolutely untrue. Happy to take a question from Craig Wall.
Well, Governor, while you're up there, just one other thing we heard from Darren Bailey today. He said the question that he would want to be asking voters is, do you feel safer than 4 years ago, and has your quality of life gotten better over the last 4 years? He said the answer is a pretty quick no. Do you think voters are going to be agreeing with him, or can you respond to that?
I think voters have seen that Darren Bailey is a hypocrite, that when he says he is pro-public safety and then votes against expanding our crime labs, votes against adding police, votes against us being able to solve crimes quickly, that he is not somebody who actually has public safety in mind. He's a hypocrite on so many things. He's somebody who thinks that that abortion is a greater tragedy than the Holocaust. He doesn't deserve to be thought of in the leadership of our state. And he's somebody who doesn't understand what it takes to lead through difficult times. We've had a very, very challenging 2.5 years fighting through a deadly global pandemic, which, by the way, he told people mostly to ignore. And as a result of that, thousands more people died than should have.
If we can follow up with the awkward questions for 200 to the mayor.
But let me just jump in on that last question regarding Darren Bailey. And Governor, you'll get a kick out of this. I've met the guy twice. The first time is the first time that I went to Springfield as mayor, and he came up with another gleeful little pack. They called themselves the Successionist, and at that time, what they were advocating for, you remember this, right? They wanted to succeed from the state of Illinois. So does that tell you that that's a guy that wants to actually lead this great state? No. The second time I met him was in the House Republican caucus, where he aggressively, literally came up to confront me because he said, quote unquote, I don't like the way you talk about my president. He was talking about President Trump. To which I said, I don't like the way your president is talking about my city. And if he continues to, I'm going to keep calling him out every single day. So here's a guy that the day after the primary said, I want to meet with Mayor Lightfoot. And then today, when he gets the FOP endorsement, is fire and brimstone about how terrible Chicago is. Well, which Darren Bailey is showing up? Right? It's not a person who, by the way, educates himself about anything related to the city of Chicago. Newsflash, Darren, homicides down 16%, shootings down 20%, and we are going to do better this year. Newsflash, Darren Bailey, you want to be the governor of the state, but you continually attack and denigrate. It's 50%, 60% of the state economy, and if you add in Chicagoland, it's about 80%. So the politics of division and dystopia, which he keeps swinging towards, depending on which base he's pandering to, they don't match up with the realities on the ground in our city, and I don't think they match up with the reality on the ground in cities across the state and the progress that we've made coming out of the pandemic, precisely because of our leadership, the governor's leadership, and the leadership of mayors across the state. But also, what you see is a guy who, depending on what camera's in front of him, what audience he's in front of, is going to say and do anything to pander to that crowd. So his Republican right-wing money is drying up. So now suddenly ecting away from, I want to meet with the mayor and talk to her, to, this is a hellhole and we've got to throw all the bums out. This feckless person, no way, no how, deserves to be taken seriously, and he certainly doesn't deserve anyone's vote to be governor of the state. We have a governor that's leading us, and he's standing right here. His name is J.B. Pritzker.
Well, I guess that sets me very up nicely for the question I was going to ask. Last week when you got the endorsement from Tammy Duckworth, the governor deferred, said he wanted to wait till after the November election. Have you had any discussions with the governor since then about seeking his endorsement, and do you expect to get one?
Well, obviously my conversations with the governor about things that are political, if we decide we're going to reveal them, we'll reveal them. But what both of us are focused on, and what I know I'm focused on, is what I said before. The people of the city elected me to do a job, which is to lead through adversity, to lead through challenging times, to make sure that we are focused on bringing everybody to the table, economic development to every neighborhood. And that's precisely what I've done for the last 3.5 years. And that's what I'm going to do going into this election and winning and victoriously next year. So that's what I'm going to be focused on. The noise is going to come. You guys, I understand, are doing your job. You're going to continue to ask me questions about this one, that one, the other thing. What we need to focus on and what our residents deserve is leadership that cares about them, that is making sure that we're reflecting the realities of their lived experience in everything we do every single day. That's the lane that I'm running in. That's where I'm going to stay.
Thanks, Mayor. That's a wrap, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great day.